Back tonight here on In Focus, Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405. Thanks for staying on. University of South Africa CEO Prof. Ahmed Bawa, the Chairperson of the Unemployed Graduates Association, Ayanda Khumalo, with us in the studio, and the Dean of Teaching and Learning at the University of Pretoria, Professor Salome Human-Vogel, with us as well. Prof. Bawa, let's take it back to you. And that's the question that I wanted to say, what Ayanda is raising here, that universities are full of academics. You stuff yourself with academics who are not really in practice in industry. So when they speak from the point of theory, research, and what they are reading, but not necessarily from what the experience is from practitioners who are actually having insight into what is happening on the ground. How do we breach that gap?
So let me make 2 points. I mean, the one is that when a program is developed to be offered at a university, and it happens to be a professional program, like whether it's engineering or medicine or whatever it is, there's a requirement that the accreditation process is both an accreditation process run by the Council on Higher Education, which is an academic quality control process, and there's a second accreditation process, which is the process that takes place with the professions, right? So the professions will not allow universities to graduate students unless they have certain competencies. Right? So there's a constant to and fro between the universities and the professional councils and the Council for Higher Education around the quality and the competencies and so on. And that's something which is a rigorous process. It takes up lots of time. There's a lot of toing and froing. Universities lose accreditation on a regular basis if they don't perform, and so on.
But can I just come in there quickly? Why is it not yielding results if it's such a rigorous process?
Yeah, but I don't know about that not yielding results. So let me just give you one statistic. Right, the last major study that was done in 2015. On graduate unemployment, produced a result of 6.2% graduate unemployment. Now that's comparable with countries around the world. So, now what has happened between 2016 and now, of course, with COVID and this major recession that has taken place is, we're not sure. We don't know yet what the graduate unemployment situation is. Yeah. So I think what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that there isn't unemployment. But what I'm saying is that when the economy is absorbing graduates, then the graduates are employed.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to keep that in mind. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I wanted to say was that I think there is a role for employers, a role for the private sector, a role for government when it is an employer. See, universities can't prepare graduates for specific jobs. What universities can do is provide students with a range of competencies, which provide the basis.
Why though, Prof? Why though can't we say let's be obsessed with making sure that we give them the pivotal skills that we need now and make them job ready? More than just giving them a wide range of skills, but let's make them job ready. Let's say when you come out of here, there is a job that you're going to be able to feel and actually begin to work there.
So let me give you one example, right? So let's just assume the University of Northwest wants to train people, the geologists, to work in the mines in the Northwest, and let's just assume that geology program, like you are suggesting, is about the mine, the mines in that area. Now, what that means in essence is that graduate won't be able to work anywhere else in the world. If the knowledge that person has gained in geology is relates to that particular geology in that particular part of the world. So universities have to present students with education programs which provide them with the opportunity of engaging, with particular circumstances in the workplace.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that there's a major role for employers to ensure that when young graduates come into their workplace, that there's a process of enculturation, a process of building better, a skill set which is relevant to the workplace and so on.
Professor Vogel, I mean, what you say here, he says another critical area is the improvement of how we have structured what students need to know at milestone points and whether it is still in touch with society's needs, which is really what we're trying to say here, that fine, maybe you can prepare them for future work and when they go out of the country, but at this particular point, what is it that society needs? And so let's equip them with the necessary knowledge for them to meet what we need right now.
Yes, Tabo, and I think the point that I would like to make there and what we've been talking about really is the role that universities are playing. But I think part of the answer also is that universities cannot be the complete solution. I think we know in our country, for example, in the technical, vocational and education training sector, we have huge demand and huge skill shortages. But too many students only look at university as the complete solution for going after school and getting to university and then being employed. And Professor Bawa is completely correct there when he says in most of the programs, actually almost in all of the programs where you have professional regulation, students are usually very well employed because that is what the role of the professional body also is. The problem often comes in at universities when you have a lot of graduates who are graduating in programs that are not necessarily professionally regulated and might have a much broader scope. And there it's not a question that they were not, from a disciplinary perspective, well prepared, but they lack these other employability skills that we've been talking about. I think that many of those students, if they had been channeled correctly at the correct time, could probably have looked at other options that could have served them better. And here I think it's the match, not necessarily in terms of employability skills with the employer, but the match of the needs of the country and the actual labor force that is being developed. And I think that universities are looked at as the complete solution, where actually I think that our TVET colleges, the introduction of a general education and training certificate, for example, that will enable learners at earlier points in basic education to be able to move into a different stream, I think is also an important part of the solution.
Let's just weigh in on that. Students are graduating with degrees, right? Because that's what they want to do. But these degrees that they are being offered, they neither have technical nor vocational knowledge. And there's a big gap there that needs to be filled. But where do you expect graduates to get that information from, or rather that knowledge or those skills? So this is the very same thing that we're talking about, that our professor should be helping us to say that how do we review the curriculum? Because it takes us back to the curriculum, of which I think they want to run away from. Because you know what's the funny part? You go to your matric, that maybe some Fula or Mbopa High School, and then your teachers will tell you that you must pass with 30%. Yeah. And then, yes, that's the pass rate, 30%. And then again, you get 30% all your subjects, maybe with 40s and 30s there. Then you go to university. University, you find that if actually there is a bachelor admission score. So, yes, parents are going to be happy you got a bachelor. You get to the university hour, that bachelor is an admission to the higher institution of learning. But then you can't even have access because this thing is in chain. So our professors, because they are very much theoretical and they have research that we need, so they should help us into drafting this curriculum review to accommodate the very same soft and vocational skills that we do not have as graduates. Because when we enter in the classroom, I'm from there, Malamlelo or Kiani, I'm here to learn what is to be a teacher or to be a nurse. After that, who must teach me how to speak? Because there I'm writing assignments, I'm doing presentation and everything. Whose fault is it?
it is the very same curriculum that you produce and you provide to the very same students. You expect, this is why I spoke of race in the beginning.
Yes.
We also have schools where you know, maybe if you go to KZN and you go maybe to Cape Town or where else, you'll find that Abantwana, they'll never be the same, because there is ST Banban School, and there is Mjuli Primary School.
Yeah.
So those students, even in the Labafunda Ngayo, we still live in an unequal society, because even the resources of learning, in as much as we compete for one thing, but we are not provided equally with the resources. So this is another problem of which njengamanje siyika phezulu nje ngenkezo. So we need to get deep when we speak about these things, because once we are living in an unequal society, there is nothing that we are ever going to achieve.
Prof, Ayanda, they're saying we are just literally touching the tip of the iceberg. But Professor Vogel, a quick one with the minute that we have left. Indeed, we are. It's just the tip of the iceberg. In terms of format of education, others say it's quite redundant. So in style, in method of teaching, what is it that we would need to change?
I think it's critical, and I think what universities have realized, especially during the pandemic and looking at different ways of teaching, is that to start with the competencies that students must develop. And when you start with those competencies, not to focus on the knowledge first, but to focus on the skills that students need and the attitudes that come along with that, and then, of course, certain knowledge. And then to teach and assess in a way that is authentic, that helps students to develop those skills, so that the focus is not only on trying to remember facts and writing facts down in an examination, but that your assessment actually opens up, that it's more integrated, more authentic, that it's better connected to the real world, and that students, through the assessment and learning, can develop those exact skills that employers need.
Yeah, fantastic. Much appreciated. Well, let's leave it there for today. We'll visit it again as we are getting deeper into the iceberg and getting to the bottom of it. Professor Bawa, Professor Vogel, appreciate your time. And Mtunga, thank you very much for joining us tonight here in this.